This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on Carolina Impact, it's called the heart of this small Anson County town. We'll show you how one community center is making all the difference. And
tons of people are hopping on bikes and scooters these days in an effort to get around Charlotte. I'm Tanisha Johnson. I'll tell you how it's impacting the quality of life and the city of Charlotte straight ahead on Carolina Impact.
Plus, we'll learn about a new Huntersville school for students with autism. Carolina Impact starts right now.
Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. Unless you live in Anson County, there's a pretty good chance you've never heard of the town of Morven. It's really a small town, not far from the South Carolina state line. Statistics show more than 40% of Morven's residents live in poverty. Carolina Impact's Jason Terzis takes us there to see how one place is changing the course of an entire community.
Head east on U.S. Highway 74 out past Union County, you'll enter Anson County. Then go south on U.S. Highway 52 and you'll find the town of Morven. It's a dot on the map, one traffic light in the center of town. Go too fast and you might miss the place. Population of Morven, 460. That's down nearly 50% from the 800 or so who lived here in the 1980s. But when textile mills up the street in Wadesboro started closing, Morven suffered. These days, downtown is kind of like a ghost town. Buildings closed up, locked up, and in some cases, falling apart.
Times changed and textile jobs not available, and now everybody needing to go to college, so education became a priority.
By the early 2000s, education in Anson County had fallen behind, way behind.
And when we started actually looking at test scores and looking at percentile, everything that was normal wasn't normal anymore.
And I started looking at the statistics, and they had said that only 54% of his kids are reading on grade level. And then I started seeing his concern.
And those numbers only got worse when it came to African American students.
Only 3 out of 10 black kids are reading on grade level at the high school.
As the principal there, I just kept plugging at it, trying to get the community involved, trying to get parents to know really where their kids were academically, because sometimes parents really don't know.
One of the things Michael McLeod did as principal of Anson County High School was reach out to friend and community member Leon Gatewood.
I spilled my heart. I told him, Leon, we have a problem.
That's when I realized we were facing a serious situation unless we did something.
Leon jumped in, raising community awareness, calling it Operation Save the Children. But then a friend told him he needed a catchier name.
She said, Leon, kids are not going to take well to Operation Save the Children. She said, anyway, I had an idea. Why don't we call it HOLLA? Helping our loved ones learn and achieve. HOLLA. You see, kids were saying holla back then and stuff.
In 2005, HOLLA was officially born, with Leon turning an old downtown hardware store into the HOLLA Community Center. Students came after school for reading and math tutoring, and it was all supported by volunteers.
It's awesome. It is absolutely awesome.
We didn't have anything else here in Morven to offer.
As the HOLLA after-school program evolved, so too did its mission.
We thought mentoring and tutoring was the answer. It takes a little more than tutoring. It takes a little more than mentoring.
Volunteers also started working with kids on life skills, building confidence and self-esteem.
You run into situations where there's absolutely no family structure. You run into situations where there's no the basic necessities. We know these kids were not eating properly, that can have a big effect on whether or not you're learning.
Organizers also noticed many of the kids weren't getting enough exercise, so they started a step team and launched a tennis program.
Run in place, 1. Nah, that's too hard.
William Brown makes the hour-plus drive from Charlotte to Morven to be a volunteer coach.
I guess through a lot of friends from Morven that live in Charlotte, they recommended me. So, I've been with them ever since. Oh, man, you got it.
The HOLLA tennis program was recently awarded a diversity grant from the United States Tennis Association. They provide the group all kinds of tennis-related gear.
Rackets, equipment, stuff like that. I think the USTA has been a tremendous help for them. And, they need it.
Holla's tennis team has taken trips to the Family Circle Cup in Charleston and even made it to the U.S. Open in New York.
Holla they're giving them a good outlet, a very good outlet.
Holla has conducted numerous summer camps and 5K runs, brought in college bands and guest speakers. Governor Roy Cooper's wife, Kristen, was a recent visitor.
It's important that we bring people in that have connections.
It's all done with the goal of showing the kids there's a world out there beyond just Morven and Anson County, and how education is the pathway to it.
They took them on numerous college visits. They were able to do site visits to industry and business locally, so that kids could get a first-hand experience of what work looks like or what college looks like after high school. And that is priceless.
Since first opening its doors in 2005, Holla has grown from a place for after-school help to a full-fledged community center, hosting breakfasts, baby showers, bridal showers, class reunions, you name it.
So the Holla Center is really turned out to be quite a resource to the community.
I didn't know it was going to turn into what it has turned into.
This program has allowed us in Anson County to weave a tapestry of endless possibilities for our students and also for many of our adults.
It's been a godsend, to be honest. You know, in Anson County, we don't even have a YMCA.
What started as a conversation between a couple of friends about how to help local kids with reading has evolved into something much more, something that the entire area is now benefiting from.
Jason joins me now in the studio. And Jason, thanks for that story. It really just made me feel good to see a community wrap around young people like that.
You know, what they're doing is really just a great service to not only the students but to the entire community. So, you know, in 2005 when the program started, it really started just as an after-school program to help kids with reading and math, because reading levels in Anson County were well below state standards. But through the process and through the years of the program developing, it's grown so much more beyond just reading levels, and they're trying to get the reading levels up and the math scores up. But all the things that they noticed, that the kids weren't getting, you know, maybe enough physical education, they weren't getting enough nutrition, all these different things that all kind of play into whether or not you're really learning and how successful you are in the classroom. So it really starts with the reading and the math, but there's so much more that goes into it.
How many kids are they helping a year?
About 30 on a daily basis, mostly from the elementary school there in Morven, but on an annual basis, about 400 to 500, but that's through all the various programs, because it's evolved into so much more with camps and the 5K runs, and it's something that they really just try to, not only the students, but they're really engaging the entire community in so many different ways.
Now, I know it takes a long time to move the numbers up. In your story, it was heart-wrenching to see how low the numbers were for math and reading. But are we making progress?
They are making progress. Unfortunately, the reading levels in Anson County are still below state standards. I think also what they're dealing with there in Morven is the poverty rate. Unfortunately, is at least one of the statistics that I was pulling up was said around roughly 40%. And one of the things that I know Leon Gatewood had mentioned there in that story was, a lot of times you don't really know what the kids' backgrounds are and what their lives are at home. So it's one thing to say, oh, your reading levels aren't where they should be, but a lot of times it's where the kids are coming from. So that's why they're really trying to implement all these other programs to get them involved, whether it be through the camps, in addition to the tennis program and some of the other programs they're doing. They're just really trying to get the kids involved, and then ultimately, because of that, the community is really getting involved.
And that's a beautiful part. What are the next steps?
The next steps are really to kind of continue what they're doing. They're just trying to reach out. They're really engaging with local businesses, with local schools. They're trying to get more speakers to come in. They had the governor's wife come in not long ago, and really just trying to open the kids' eyes to the world that's beyond just Morven, because it is a really small town, and beyond the county, to show them, okay, this is what's out there, this is what's beyond our town lines, and this is the education that you need if you want to expand your horizons and get out there.
Jason Terzis, thanks so much for sharing this story with us.
Absolutely, it was fun.
We learned about the Holla program from Alex Gaddy, a viewer who reached out to us. If you have a story idea, please let us know about it by emailing it to stories@wtvi.org. Well, Charlotte is one of the fastest growing cities in the country, and that population increase can bring a whole new set of problems, especially around uptown. That's where shared mobility comes in. That's the phrase used to describe a new trend in transportation: rental bikes and scooters. Carolina Impact's Tanisha Johnson explains.
If you're walking or driving within a mile around uptown Charlotte these days, move over, because you might have to share the sidewalk or the road with someone on a bicycle or an electric scooter.
So they're actually always outside of my front door. They're everywhere on the street.
With a quick scan of an app to rent one of these and $1 or less to get started, moving on two wheels is easy and exciting for riders like Kristen and her friend Erica.
At least there's the element of like friendliness whenever you ride by each other, whereas if you're just in a gym by yourself, it's not as welcoming.
Diana Ward of Charlotte B-Cycle says having accessibility to transportation like this personally helps to build community.
I ride home, I actually run into friends on bikes, people that I might not see otherwise.
Of course, spending time together is a gift, but we're also talking about real savings that can really add up in an annual budget.
If you take away the auto line item that not only includes the automobile, but maintenance and gas and insurance, you've taken away a significant amount of costs.
Many cities around the country are trying to find alternative modes of transportation. It's good for the environment and more sustainable long term. This is about changing the mindset of so many of us who are so dependent on cars. And if you live close to Center City, scooters and bicycles can provide convenient and affordable transportation to and from work, school, and shopping. With over 30,000 new users in October 2018 alone, ridership is up and the miles prove it.
The city of Charlotte seems to have hit a home run with its shared mobility pilot program. More than 1.5 million miles have been logged by users renting bikes and e-scooters over the last year.
While more people are riding bikes, many more are hopping on scooters, and city council leaders like Tariq Bakari say the data has been surprising.
By all measures, it's exceeded what everyone thought it would do in a short period of time.
Bakari adds it's changing the way people move in Uptown and shifting the mindset on mobility.
It's changed the way people uptown who work here, number one, get from building to building or one end of Uptown to another. Where they used to either not go and take a phone call or jump in an Uber.
Sean Hellman is just one of many whose lifestyle has changed because of shared mobility.
I'm in between meetings frequently. A lot of times it doesn't require an actual vehicle, and parking isn't all over the place, and it's not always free here in Charlotte. So being able to just pop onto a scooter is a lot more convenient.
Although Hellman started out scooting between meetings, now he jumps on one for just about everything, including milk runs.
It only takes 5 minutes. You pull up to the door that you're going in, you park it, you get what you need, you go, and you're back.
And even visitors like Brian Gray from South Carolina prefer the scooters.
It's actually a lot faster. It's actually cheaper than Uber too. It's easier to get farther distances, so we can actually get a hotel that's a little bit farther from the convention center and get back and forth.
Although this is the new normal in Uptown and it appears that bikes and scooters are everywhere, city leaders admit they have work to do. That includes finalizing a comprehensive safety plan in partnership with the state. Leaders also want to see a deeper reach into lower-income neighborhoods for these scooters and bicycles to improve upward mobility. The new way to get around clearly offers solutions as well as creating growing pains, but ridership data is proof that the future for Charlotte must include innovative forms of shared mobility. For Carolina Impact, I'm Tanisha Johnson reporting.
Thanks so much, Tanisha. I see these scooters everywhere. As these rentable bikes and scooters really take off around our area, we're told they're going to expand, and it's not just one age group using them. There are plans to add more to high-traffic bus stops, and you'll see them spread much further than Center City. Well, here's a little fun fact. Shared scooters actually began in San Francisco. Well, next up, we go from the hectic pace of city life to the peace and quiet of a small South Carolina town. Have you ever heard of Ridgeway? People flocked to it during the last eclipse because it was a perfect place to watch it. Well, there's also a nationally recognized tea room there. In this one-tank trip, producer Russ Hunsinger takes us there.
We're in Ridgeway, South Carolina. It's a great little community, very historic. We've got families still here that have been here since the early 1800s. Very close, tight-knit community.
The town itself is very unique. Why would you want to live here? First of all, there's no traffic. We have one stoplight.
It's definitely somewhere you need to stop and you know, let time stand still a little bit. Just take your time. this is Laura's Tea Room. It is the place to come. And we do a very European-style high tea every day, Tuesday through Saturday. Hi, girls. Hi. Did you enjoy it today? Did you? What was your favorite thing about the high tea today?
The sweets.
Always the sweets. And this is the place for best friends, isn't it?
The whole ritual of the tea and the food and just something different, just something unique.
There are a lot of beautiful homes still existing in the Ridgeway community. The plantation homes are away from the town center. They all are a beautiful part of what makes Ridgeway a beautiful place.
You definitely want to take in all the shops. They all date back to the early 1900s or before. We have a walking tour, includes all the older houses and homes here in town. We have the world's smallest police station.
The little police station used to be the town well, and it was still being used as a police station in the 1950s. I recall it as the police station.
We're in the Rufus Old Store Museum, as we call it now. My sister and I turned this place into a museum. Our family owned this place as a general store. It was opened in the 1840s, sometime around there, by my great-great-great-great-great-uncle, David H. Roof.
Well, I came here years ago and liked this little town, and I decided it'd be a good road trip for today. I don't know, there's something about small towns that make them charming. It's just a cute little place.
People come here for a day's outing. They love to come shop all of the little shops in and around the town, stroll around, look at the buildings, and just enjoy an outing, a nice outing. The hustle and bustle we leave in the big cities.
I love the little shops, the quaintness of it. Time stands still, definitely.
You know, I have a lot of people in the tea room, especially when they get ready to leave. And this has happened more than once. They get to the front door and they stop. And they'll go, do we really have to go out there? Do we really have to go back to the real world? Because it is a different world in here. Things are done differently. Things slow down. We are trying to keep them that way. Yeah, it does slow down. And I'm glad it does.
Thanks, Russ. The biggest event in Ridgeway is called Pig on the Ridge. It's the largest barbecue cookout in the state. Around 3,000 people attend, and that's quite a feat considering Ridgeway has a population around 400. Sounds yummy to me. Well, I don't know about you, but I love having options. Furniture shopping? Just search and click, and it's delivered to your house. House hunting? Any good realtor has a list of possibilities online. However, searching for the right school isn't so easy. Factor in a child with learning challenges, and your options are really limited. Carolina Impact's Sharon Smith shows us how a new project is giving families hope.
Oh, good joke, Ad, good joke. Whee!
I'm not sure that we manage so much as, you know, sometimes it feels more like you just survive.
In that respect, Kim Richards sounds like a lot of working moms.
It's just like a constant text chat of, okay, wait, who's taking who where?
Like the robots played with by their kids, the Richards are spinning until something stops them in their tracks.
One of the most heartbreaking things was he might have been 3 or 4, and I remember he came home and he said to me, actually, he kind of did. He said he would hit his head and he'd say like this, and he'd say, "I just have an empty, useless brain." And that's when we went, "Oh no, this is really, really like he knows that he's really struggling."
Hayden has a complicated profile. Several disorders affect how he learns. He's in 3rd grade at his 3rd school after what Kim calls some horrific experiences.
You know, here's vision things, here's, you know, the IEP for school, here's just some of the reports.
Therapies, strategies, medical files, wherever Hayden goes to school, the files go with him.
The biggest challenge that we faced was finding a place where his needs are met.
The Richards live in Huntersville. Right now, Kim says their best option is a private school 40 minutes away in Charlotte. The commute is another complication. They've traded miles for milestones.
What they need is they need adults who can say, okay, it's all right. We're gonna help you figure out what you need and how you need it to be able to learn your best and to be your best.
And here, north of the city, such a school, such a system doesn't exist. But change is coming. Not far away sits another case of unlocked potential. In a cookie-cutter world, this historic home on Beatties Ford Road is a beautiful challenge. Aspire Carolinas plans to turn it into a private school for children on the Asperger's autism spectrum.
It's just warm. It feels like home. And it's got this beautiful, rambling hallways with big rooms on each side that just say school.
Jennifer Nichols is executive director and founder of the foundation. She says the Asperger's School is just the beginning. The campus will also support a school for students in K through 12 with learning differences. A trade high school operating under a charter license would also be built to prepare and match young people with hands-on job training.
Electrical, HVAC, plumbing, pipe fitting, welding, IT, those are all things that we're talking about to be in that first year of that school. There's a great need right now for the trades, tremendous need. And then you have your parking lot for them.
Nichols recognizes the need partly because of the experience of her younger sister who struggled through school.
We understood that Laura learned differently, but the environment, the public school environment, was not ready for her. It was not ready to teach her in the way that she needed to learn.
It was a huge part of their family dynamic. Nichols believes Aspire could give families across the Charlotte region an easier path. Smaller class sizes, more curriculum choices, and greater individual attention are all part of the equation.
Everything has fallen in so unbelievably well.
Board member Dale Halton supported Aspire from the beginning. She's been a corporate leader in Charlotte and philanthropist. This project is among her most meaningful.
I see the school filled with happy children, learning. I see parents happy with their children. Everyone getting along better because the children are learning the way they learn and not being so frustrated.
It's a vision that has taken a lot of work from this small group of people. 2 years ago, Aspire Carolinas formed to meet a need, fill a void in education. It's an impressive master plan, with Phase 1, the Asperger's Autism School, planned to open in fall 2019.
I think it's an opportunity that a lot of people have longed for.
It's the definition of aspire, to long and hope for, to aim for something better. For the Richards, it's finding an educational home for their son closer to home.
To have it here would not only make our lives a million times easier just in terms of logistics and time, but it would be stress and time we'd get back to be with the family, which makes all the difference in the world.
For Carolina Impact, I'm Sharon Smith reporting.
Sounds like an amazing program. Thanks so much, Sharon. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 1 in 59 children has been identified with autism spectrum disorders, which includes Asperger's. Aspire Carolinas hopes to open the Trade High School and Learning Differences School in 2020. The goal is to educate several hundred children from Mecklenburg and surrounding counties. Well, that's all we have time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing you back here again next time on Carolina Impact. Good night, my friends.
Production of PBS Charlotte.